Okie dokes. Hello, grade 10A and E's. It is me, it is I again, the bearer of Greek classical theatrical knowledge. All right, let's get to it. Page 152, stage 2. I gave you an introduction to Greek theatre on yesterday's lesson, so we're carrying on with that on page 154, like I just said. Under stage 2, it says gods, goats, and festivals. I'll also be talking you through the origins of Greek drama, as well as the Greek festivals, as well as the main Greek theatrical city, the city of Dionysia. All right. I'll be talking about the actors and the companies as well in Greek theatre. All right, it sounds like a lot. We're going to push through, and then I'm going to give you some activities. I won't be sending you a video tomorrow. You will be keeping yourselves busy with the activities that I have given you or will be giving you. All right, let's get to it. The ancient Greeks believed in many gods who ruled over every aspect of life and death. Myths and legends about these gods are well known and still entertain people today. Just off the top of my head, I can think of the story of Icarus, the guy who wanted to fly, so he made himself wax wings, but he flew too close to the sun. His wings melted and splat. All right, so that's just one example of a Greek myth. All right, you get Roman myths and legends as well, but just to give you an idea that the Greeks as a society were very much into their myths and legends, and it was built around their beliefs in many gods. All right. The Greek gods resembled humans both in form and feeling. The gods were considered immortal, and since they controlled everything in nature, the Greeks felt that their lives depended on the goodwill of the gods. They therefore honored them at special times in various places. Now, honoring the Greek gods was based on ritualistic performances. All right. And eventually these ritualistic honoring of gods during certain festivals turned into a more dramatic form of ritual, basically known as theatre. All right. On page 155, on the top, origins of Greek theatre. There are a number of theories as to the origins of drama in ancient Greece. The theory is that tragedy began with the performance that took place at the graves of great heroes to commemorate their deeds and to lament their passing away with songs. Another theory is that tragedy was part of a vegetation rite that involved a battle of the force of nature to ensure the victory of summer over winter. It's generally accepted that Greek drama arose from the choral singing of hymns known as dithyrambs. So if you want to remember the word dithyramb, think of dizzy and ram, but make it a dithyramb. I repeat, it's generally accepted that Greek drama arose from the choral singing of hymns known as dithyrambs in honor of Dionysus, right? Dionysus was the god of fertility and yummy yum, wine. Okay, so Dionysus was the main Greek drama god that was honored, all right? And that's also why they refer to the festival of Dionysus, all right? There was a city called Dionysia. So the god Dionysus was a very important one to the Greeks, all right? And they would sing choral hymns to honor Dionysus, known as rams. Okay. Dionysus was one of the most popular of the Greek gods. His name means twice born, since he was resurrected after being killed. In his attempt to escape death, he is said to have taken on the forms of a bull and a goat. His worshippers enacted his story and sacrificed a bull or a goat, ate the flesh and drank the blood in order to identify with him. The term tragedy means goat song. So this is a very nice party trick. If you ever hear the word tragedy, you go, it means goat song in Greek. All right. But now you understand where the whole goat association comes from. It comes from Dionysus having taken the form of a goat or a bull at some stage. All right. As time passed and people moved into urban settings and became more sophisticated, the worship of Dionysus became more structured and formalized. As early as the 7th and 8th centuries before Christ, there are records of contests of choral dances at the Dionysian festivals. The worship of Dionysus usually began with a procession in which a statue of the god was carried from the temple through the streets, while people sang and danced. These dances were accompanied by the recital of the dithyrambs. Okay. Aristotle, you may have heard of his name. He is the greatest Greek philosopher. He's probably one of the first philosopher ever to be known as a philosopher, but Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher and writer, says that it was out of improvisations by the leaders of these hymns and dances that drama developed. In other words, the hymns became extended to include dialogue. Right. Then we page over to 156 with specific reference to the festivals. Now, the Greeks honored their gods at festivals held at different times during the year. Every town devoted itself to a special god and held festivals in his or her honor. There were 4 festivals associated with Dionysus. Plays were performed at 3 of these. Drama was not part of the festival held to honor other gods. The first festival, the rural Dionysia, was held in midwinter and acknowledged Dionysus as the god of fertility. The second festival, the Lenaea, held in January, was devoted to merrymaking. Remember that Dionysus was also the god of wine. The one in Lenaea also had elements which were later incorporated into comedy. All right, comedy only came much later. All right, because remember, drama was originated from the tragedy and the seriousness of honoring the gods. All right. The last festival was the city of Dionysia. Was in the city of Dionysia in the city-state of Athens in March or April. All right, so it's just important that you guys remember they had a few festivals held during the course of the year to honor the god Dionysia, and the god of Dionysus, or the god Dionysus, was the one that inspired more dramatic, ritualistic elements. All right. All right, and the city Dionysia became the major festival for the presentation of drama. Very interesting. It was a 6 or 7 day event, much like festivals we know today, except we do not honor Dionysus anymore. We honor Kirk Darren and Steve Hofmeyer, unfortunately. No, that's just a little joke. All right. 6 day event which the whole city of Athens attended. Even slaves were allowed to attend. The first day was devoted to a major procession, the second to dithyrambic contests. The third day consisted of a competition for 5 comic playwrights, and the next 3 days was devoted to the 3 tragic playwrights. So they had some comic playwrights, but the main event and the main focus was the tragedy. All right. The last day was spent on the judging and awarding of prizes, so it actually turned into a nice little competition. Often the prizes had symbolic value: a goat or a bull, a crown of ivy, or a tripod. A tripod. Probably not for a camera. Sometimes wine or money was given. Skip the money, give me the wine, you know me. No, I'm just joking, but not. Eventually, the festival was shortened until by the 4th century before Christ, it lasted only one day. All right. Oh, sorry, I'm still recording. I'm just checking that I'm covering everything. Right, the festival was an important event for the city. It was attended by all the citizens of Athens and some officials from other states. It took months to organize. Playwrights who wanted to enter the competition had to submit their works to the official in charge, who chose 3 plays for performance. Each playwright chosen was assigned an actor and a patron. Right, the patron was basically like the producer in today's terms. It's the rich guy who put up the money up front to produce or to make the play. All right. The playwright in Greek plays were often the lead actor as well. All right, so the playwright would very often play in his own play. The patron was usually a wealthy person who paid all the expenses of the production. The patron considered it a great privilege to provide this service to the state. The festival was an integral part of Greek life, and it was compulsory for every citizen to attend. Citizens who could not afford entrance fee were paid for by the state. The chorus. Okay, now you guys know by now what the chorus in a Greek play is. All right, so I'm not going to go through that too hectic now. Now, the chorus was made up of ordinary citizens who performed this task proudly as part of their civic duty. Actors were paid by the state. The playwrights composed the plays in verse form, arranged the dances, and trained the chorus. They also played the lead role, like I just mentioned. The festival was a combination of religion, ritual, art, civic duty, and philosophy, all coming together in one celebratory event. A prize was awarded for the best comedy, the best tragedy, and the best production, like a little Oscars, a Greek Oscars. And later a prize for the best tragic actor was introduced. The prizes were not valuable in themselves. It was the prestige of winning that mattered to the actors and playwrights. Now, if you visit Greece today, you can still see the ruins of monuments erected to honor the patrons of the winning play. When the festival was over, a special gathering of citizens was held to examine how the magistrate of the city had organized the whole event. After this, the actors, playwrights, and other citizens went back to their everyday occupations, possibly already thinking about next year's plays. Right. Lastly, actors and companies. Now, all actors were men, who played the female roles as well. Some actors became famous for their skill in portraying a woman. Leading actors specialized in certain roles and genres, such as comedy or tragedy. Look, basically, they only had 2 genres back in those days, tragedy being the most important one, and then comedy. Right. So a lot of them had certain skills in playing tragedy or comedy specifically, or in playing old men, or specifically playing warriors. Second and third level actors had to be able to play all sorts of different parts. Initially, actors were ordinary citizens, not professionals. But in later centuries, acting became a profession and companies were formed. Every company had flute players who played for the choruses and for some solo scenes as well. After the play had been performed at one of the festivals, the actors often went on tour. They visited all the country towns, each with its own rural Dionysia, and performed plays there. Some actors even traveled to Sicily, right, which is that island just off the coast of Italy. Some of the troops went to Egypt. Some of them went to France. Back in those days, it was known as Gaul. Think of Asterix and Obelix, all right. Traveling mainly on foot or by ox cart, and sometimes by ship. A tour could last as long as a year. All right, they didn't have aeroplanes. Okay, now, activities. On page 154. This is a written task. Okay. Read about the Greek gods. It's activity 1 on page 154. Listen very closely. Read about the Greek gods and the myths associated with them. Choose one story in which a god or gods became involved in the lives of people. Listen, when it comes to a research task, Google is your best friend. So what you do with this activity, you go to your little phone or your computer. You type in Greek myths. It's going to kick out a whole bunch of them. I want you to choose one. Okay. Write a short version of the story and comment on whether the god's influence was beneficial to the people concerned or not. Share your story with the group. Once everyone has told their story, the group should choose the most suitable one for dramatization. You will not be doing a dramatic performance of a Greek myth. It's not, I don't think it's quite necessary, and you guys have more than enough to focus on practically. But you do have access to your phones in class, so everybody come up with a Greek myth. It needs to be a different one so that you can learn from each other, and you tell the story. All right, you tell the story, you rewrite a shortened version of the story in your workbook so that I know that you have done the task, and share your different stories with each other in class. Right, activity 2. Write your own dithyram. Now, like I mentioned, what is a dithyram? It's a choral hymn dedicated to honoring Dionysus, the god of wine and fertility. Right, now, activity 2 on page 155. Imagine that your favorite musician is coming to your hometown for a concert and will be appearing at a local mall. He's coming to Laguna, okay, to meet fans. There's going to be a competition for the fan club with the best song or chant. Now, you and a group of friends plan to attend and hope to win the prize of tickets to the concert and a chance to meet your idol. Decide on your chosen star. Listen, if it's Justin Bieber, don't care, all right? Just choose your idol, all right? Develop a chant or a song. It can even be a rap, all right? Not only uses words from not only uses words from your idol's songs, but also says what you think he or she, why you think he or she is the greatest. Practice your song so that the whole group knows it well, and add movement to make it eye-catching. That bit you do not need to do, but you do need to write a dithyram to your favorite idol. You also need to be able to read out loud your dithyrams. Okay. Use lyrics of your idol that he or she uses in his songs, and then add your own impressions, all right, of what you think of that artist. Okay. Activity 3. Google. We use many words in theatre today, and they have their origin in Greek theatrical expression. Use a dictionary, an encyclopedia. You're too young, you won't know what an encyclopedia is because we have Google, right? Or the intraweb, okay, to help you find the meanings of the following words and find out which Greek words they come from. Here are the words that you need to find on the internet, and because they come from Greek terminology, and we still use them today. Okay, so find out what is an amphitheater. It's a Greek word. Find out what is a protagonist. It's a Greek word. Find out what is a proscenium. Find out what is tragedy, what is chorus, what is comedy, what is thespian. Not lesbian, thespian. All right? Find out what is orchestra. Find out what is episode. Okay. So some of these words you would have heard before. All of them, in either way, all of them come from Greek words, right, that we use in theatre today. Okay. That is it for today. Goodbye. You better do these assignments because when I'm back, I'm going to check up. I keep these videos. I know what I'm saying.